Hi, we've come to the end of our Rittenhouse RCM4 master station repair. As a brief recap, when I received the unit, the condition of it was dead. It had been sent to another shop, and with their massive amount of $200,000 worth of test and measure equipment, they couldn't seem to actually work on it, because I didn't find any signs of anything having been done with it at all whatsoever. Will from Delaware sent it to me, and I told him I would do my very best to solve its problems and get it working once again. He said originally, before he sent it to the other place, the only part of it that actually worked was the intercom, and I think maybe the doorbell. I would expect the doorbell would have worked, but I'm not positive about that. The work that was done on it was fairly extensive. It was complete power supply rebuild, refurbishment, and replacement of parts in the amplifier and audio board. We have a single remote station that he sent along with it for testing. We were able to find the correct plugs and make up a test cable, which we're using today. I also have one of the sockets from the plug sets I bought. This is the last one I have left. I made up, and it's plugged into the short little cord on the back that would plug into a socket in the wall housing. That connection is from the transformer to power the set for the doorbell buttons and the entry door station. And I have made all that up. I only made up a single doorbell button because that's good enough. So here's our doorbell button to duplicate that. It was a good repair. We fixed the lamps, did a bunch of work on it, learned a lot about these, and it turned out pretty well. So I think what we're going to do first is we're going to look at the dial brightness and see where we are with that. To me, this seems about right. It glows through the dial pretty well. We certainly could turn it down some if we wanted to, or turn it up, but I think that's way too bright. I don't know why you would ever make it that bright. To me, that seems about right. You can tell it's on during the day, and at night it would show up even a lot more. One of the things I noticed about this, which is interesting, is this is AM and FM. Here we have AM at the top, and it has this little red indicator that's part of the faceplate, and down here at the bottom is FM with its own red indicator. When you tune this, the numbers on the dial, the red pointers are like this, but the numbers on the dials, because they go around in a circle, they don't sit parallel exactly with the red lines. I think it's a design thing, or maybe it's just the way it appears because the numbers go around in a circle. I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. As a brief review, this is an AM, FM, room-to-room intercom. Has auxiliary inputs on the bottom for a phonograph. You have your intercom control switch here. You have your intercom station switches here. 1 through 9 plus ENT, which is for entry. On your remote stations, you have a volume control, and they did give you part of the volume control, which they marked as the normal range, which is the range that you would keep it for normal listening and proper intercom volume. If you turn it way down like this, it's going to compromise the way the intercom works. And then you have this spring-loaded lever switch, which I find to be rather interesting. The way the controls work are not as intuitive as you might think. And we're going to start with the remote speaker, and I may fumble through this somewhat because this is like the 4th time I've done this. So I have it turned on right now. It's powered up, and it's in standby. If I move the lever to listen,
what is your first name?
The radio plays.
Phoebe? Phoebe?
If you move it to talk, and I put this on this, wait.
You won the lottery and died the next day. It's a black fly.
All right, let's try that again. There was a brief intermission while I was resorting out. See, this is what happens when you're not familiar 100% with how things actually operate. And I'm not going to cut it out. I might edit a little bit, but it's fairer to show exactly that it's not always as simple as you would think. The controls seem to be somewhat convoluted, but that's just because we have 2024 brains. We don't have 1966 brains. Anyway, I have the radio. If you turn the radio on, plays here. And I'll put this in standby. And if I put this in listen, the radio plays. And if you put it in talk, when this is in standby, it doesn't do anything. But if you leave that in standby and you put this on radio phonograph, and you move the lever to talk, it comes through here. And then you have to move it to listen. Wait, talk. And then talk there with this in listen. It's like walkie-talkies, but everybody's gotta move the switches, which is kind of complicated. Teaching people how to do that would have been interesting. The other thing is, if we put this in this, and turn this one down, so this one's playing. Put it in standby, you don't hear anything, but if you put it in door listen, the radio plays here, and you can hear sounds from the door station. If you put it in door talk, you can talk to the front door, but now music also plays out of the front door. So, I don't know. It's 1966. What are you going to do? Anyway, the upshot of the whole thing is the intercom does work. The other thing is the doorbell, which is a mechanical 2-note chime in here. If you listen, you can hear it ring through the remote stations. If you have the radio on, it rings over the radio, which is interesting. This control switch here, this is like your input, selector input or input control switch. You have FM, AFC off. AFC is automatic frequency control. FM, AFC on. Radio off, which would be the radio's off but the intercom is on. Then you have AM, auxiliary, and phono. So if you put this on radio off, then you can hear the doorbell as long as the switch is in listen. If you put it in standby, no doorbell. If you put it in door listen, you can hear the doorbell. And door talk is door talk. So it's complicated. It would take some practice to get really good at using it, which I think would have been a downfall. One of the things I just noticed is my little test button here. This is just a standard NuTone button with a light in it. Of course, when I pick this up, it's like, hey, this is kind of hot. Why is it hot? Well, because NuTone buttons, this is a modern button, this has a light bulb in it that's designed for 16 volts, and this is a 24 volt system. So it's overdriving the bulb, which means it's not gonna last very long. I don't really care, I just found that interesting. So, the intercom portion works correctly. The intercom controls here are similar to here. You have standby, or radio and phonograph, or listen. So you can listen at the remotes, and then you can talk to the remotes. That's pretty much that. So then, if we turn the master up, put it back on FM, it has very good reception. This control is the master speaker volume, the volume here. It's also the main on-off switch for the entire system. And then here we have dual controls. The outside knob says volume. It would be what I would think of as system volume. As you raise this up or lower it down, you're raising and lowering all the music levels throughout the entire house to all of the stations. So it's not really a volume adjustment, it's really a gain adjustment. It's adjusting how much signal is fed into the amplifier, therefore how much power it makes. And then you have the outer control is the tone control. The FM reception is very good. The AM reception is also good. AM reception around here some days not that great, but that's our best AM station around here. We're in the hills, so it's not always that great. But to overcome that, we have this. This is my in-shop AM tone signal, which I can turn on and off. And then it's easy to use that to verify that the AM tuner works correctly and make minor adjustments on it so it comes in strong and clear. So that works fine also. Can't let it play too long, copyright and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good repair. It works really well. I'm going to leave it play on the bench for a while today and tomorrow. The amplifier seems to run very cool. One of the things I found out about this is a 24 volt system. It uses a Rittenhouse, I think it's a model 35 transformer, which is 24 volts at 10 watts. Or 10, in modern terms, it would be 10 VA. 10 watt transformer to power an intercom system is nothing. It's a tiny little transformer. It's the kind of transformer you would have powered a doorbell with. It doesn't use much current at all. It's not drawing, it's only drawing about 1/8 of an amp. It's not much at all. I think if you had more speakers connected to it and turned it up some, it would increase, but I don't think you're going to get anywhere near maxing out the transformer, which is good. It seems to run nice and cool, really no heat off the amplifier at all. So that's a good thing. One of the other things that I noticed was, and I perhaps have a slightly different perspective on this than other people would if they were working on this, is because it's got the doorbell built into it. You know, Rittenhouse started off as a doorbell company, and they started making doorbells in the 1930s. And I have repaired many Rittenhouse door chimes. This one, when it rings, if we turn this down and turn this down, you maybe can hear that. It's very, very soft. And also, if you consider that when this is installed, this whole thing gets slid into a big metal box in the wall, it's even going to be softer. Now, there are big electromagnetic coil, pickup coils, next to the tone bars, and when you turn it up, you can hear it ring through all the speakers, which is a very nice touch and very advanced to have it built in 1966, and earlier models I think had that also. It's one of those mental things that you have to overcome. It's like, oh, the doorbell doesn't seem like it's loud enough, but it is loud enough because it's really designed to be heard through the system more than through the acoustics of the faceplate itself. It's just one of those things that you have to get straight in your mind when you work on something that's different design than other things you normally work on. Anyway, it was a good repair and I'm happy with it. And I think the customer will be happy with it also. And I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. This is, I think, part 6 of this repair. So there's lots of information. I tried to give as much background information as I could as I went along because these systems are not that common and there isn't a lot of information about them online. So we try to fill in the gaps just a little bit. If you did find it interesting or maybe it was helpful to you, give it a thumbs up on YouTube because that helps us just a little bit. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell, and when you click on the bell, click on it to receive all notifications. And every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.